Hey everybody, Tom from Talon Guitar Works, and I've got two of these necks. This one I already refretted. This one is about to be refretted. These are those Amazon necks I got last year and did the review on. And the necks weren't the correct radius. There were high frets all over the place. So I pulled all the frets out. I sanded it by putting witness marks all over the fretboard with my pencil, and then getting my sanding beam for a 10-inch sanding beam and sanded it till the witness marks were gone. I then did 3 coats of clear lacquer on it, letting it dry between each coat, and it's ready to go now. And I've already did all the fret nipping for my fret wires and put them in my little fret wire holder. So this next thing that I'm going to do right now is just start tapping these frets in with a hammer just to hold them in place. And when I say hammer, I mean a mallet. I'm not using a brass hammer to tap these things in. Now, by doing this, I'm making sure that the tang of the fret is going into the slot. And then when I put it on the fret press, I don't have to stop between every fret and line a new one up again. So I'm not really whacking them to do this, but I'm just tapping them to get them started a little bit. I don't want to tap them hard enough to bend the wire. And I want to make sure that I've got the edges advanced enough to where I'm going to have to trim just a hair off there. And this is going to make it easier on the fret press and take less time because I don't have to worry about a fret wanting to turn sideways on me. And I've been doing this a lot. I've done over 100 of these, and I still once in a while get a fret that wants to turn sideways. This is 3 refrets now I'm doing in a week and a half. So the more you do these, the more confidence you get in them, the easier it is. All you got to do is follow, your order of operations and your procedures, and make sure you start out with your fretboard that's got the correct radius, because there's nothing more heinous than doing a refret and then having to do a fret level and dress and remove valuable metal off those frets that were brand new that you just put in. Everything should go together. I'm sure the manufacturers aren't doing fret level and dresses at the factory on brand new guitars. And if they are, somebody's getting a pink slip probably. Now, I don't number the slots. I just know that I start with number 1 furthest away from me in the holder, and then I work down in series of 4, and then any of the additional ones after 22 I put out on a wing, because out here, after 21's here, 22, 23, and 24. So I always know where I am with the fret numbers. And down to the last few frets. Now, this fretboard, when I sanded it, and I know you probably didn't want to see a video of me using a sanding beam for 20 minutes, but that's how bad this fretboard was when I had to take it back down to the 10-inch radius that was supposed to be on this board. It was 10 inches on the edges, but not in the center, which is hard to believe, but that's the way it was. Whoop, and that one popped out. Okay, I got all my fret wire in place now. So what I'm going to do is stop the camera, spin it around to my fret press, and then you'll watch me press in these 154 high wide fret wires. Okay, I have my call set up, and I've got the correct call in there, and I've got my call underneath the neck to support it, and all I have to do is just press gently. And what I'll do over time is press these frets in 3 times. Now you notice I'm not using super glue on this fret job. Neither did Leo Fender or McCarty out of the Gibson plant. Super glue wasn't invented. Sounded like I pushed that down on the side, but it's straight. Yep, straight. Now, when I've set these 3 times, what I do is the neck is flat right now. So I'll set them now and let it set till tomorrow morning. I'll come back and move the truss rod in the morning first thing, a quarter turn one way or the other. Then I'll come back about an hour later and set the frets again. And I'm not putting a lot of weight down on this press to set them in there and get them in place. So after that, the next morning, I'll go back a half turn in the opposite direction. So the initial quarter turn plus another quarter in the opposite direction to move the neck a little bit and repress those frets and just make sure that everything is seated real well and there's no shadows, or I can't get a fingertip or an X-Acto blade underneath the edge of the fret. We just want those all seated real well. Now after it sits on that pressing, what I'm going to do is come back and ensure that I've got enough relief on the neck and that none of the frets are going to rock when I do my check with my fret rocker. Because high frets ain't what we're all about. But almost a guarantee to have a high fret is not to have an accurate radius on the fretboard. And that's even with the conical radiuses or the compound radiuses that guys are doing. There are still mathematical formulas to get those to where every fret is absolutely correct and you're not going to have high frets. And one of the signs of high frets are notes not sounding correctly or bends just dying off. You go to bend a string and you push up on it, give it a half step bend and nothing. It just dies. That's a high fret that's doing that to you. And our last 2. Now I'm going to have a little bit of material to trim off the edge of these frets, and then I'm going to go through the process of finishing the edges. So our frets are all in the fretboard now, and from looking at it, they're looking pretty good. I don't see anything high. So now I'm just going to go back and nip the edges of these even, and then we're going to let it sit and we'll come back and take a look at it tomorrow. Hey everybody, I'm back, and I've put more tape on the side of my guitar neck here, and I've got my beveling file. And I'm going to run my beveling file gently along the edge of the frets. I'm not going to put a lot of purchase in this. I'm not going to try and go 100 miles an hour, and I'm not going to put a lot of pressure. I'm going to let the file do its work. And the reason for that is the minute you get excited and decide you're going to go as fast as you can on this little edge is going to jump track and you're going to cut across all your brand new frets and you'll get to start over again. And ask me how I know that in the comments. all of this stuff is a learning process. And the more you do it, the more confidence you have in your abilities and your experience levels. And you get a little better each time you do it. And it doesn't become this big, scary job where you think, I could never do a refret on my guitar. I'll ruin it, I'll destroy it. Well, go get a cheapo guitar neck. And I'm sure you can find them around, or find a guitar neck somebody's taken off and they're going to discard, and go through the process. Pull all the frets, get the fret wire, get fret nippers and nip them. Set them in place either with the hammer or the jaws or with a fret press. And check yourself out. Make sure you got all your skills down to do that fret job before you go and tackle a bigger fret job on your own guitar. Now this file is just, I know my hand's in the way, I'm just getting some burrs off the very edge of this fret, I felt. And I'm going to go over each one individually, and that's going to take me about 45 minutes. But right now I'm going to take my sanding beam that I use for my fret level and dresses, and I am going to go after that little burr that I've been pushing side to side with the sanding beam. And you'll hear the sanding beam change in tone as the end of the fret wire gets smoother. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, it's going to need a little touching up on some frets with my little edge dresser, but not bad at all. So, that's it. 2 necks that are going to be saved. So this is Tom at Talon Guitar Works telling you only half of my ideas are any good. You got to decide which half, and hope you had a great holiday season.